Hi, everybody. It's Sunday night, and I'm coming to give my usual review of what happened last week and the preview of what's about to happen. So, we finished the Odyssey, and it was quite an Odyssey, I think, for a lot of people. I realized the last reading assignment was very long, and I think that was reflected a little bit in the posts that, for the most part, were not up to snuff this past week. There were a couple of really outstanding posts, but I think a lot of you were just suffering from fatigue. So let me though just make a general comment about the problematic nature of the posts, and we'll see if we can work on that in the next ones. There's still a lot of summarizing going on. And I think this is natural enough if you're coming to the poem for the first time, because you're kind of getting your footing, right? And so you're trying to find your way through the poem. And one way of finding your way through is to summarize what's happening in that poem. But what you need to do is to move from summary, which is a good first step, right, into analysis. And in the video last week, I can't remember the video or the news forum, I can't remember which one, but in either case, I suggested a method that you might use when you approached the second half of the Odyssey, right? That was books 13 through 24. And what I suggested was that you focus on one of the recognition scenes. Right? When you think about those last books, right, they really are all about Odysseus coming back to Ithaca, and one by one recognizing and being recognized by, right, former associates, whether they were former servants, right, or his son, right, or his wife, or his father, but people he had known in the past, but whom he needed to rehabilitate his relationship with in the present. So my idea was to focus on one of those scenes of recognition and to analyze the dynamics of that scene very, very carefully. As always, it's important to draw on the poem in the course of your analysis. Right? And this is really for two reasons. Right? One is because it helps to engage your reader. Right? When you start talking about the poem, you need to give us an anchor in that poem. But it also encourages you to think about how language is working in the poem. And that's, of course, a very important part of analyzing a literary text. Now, I say this just as a kind of way of going forward. I do think that you were suffering from exhaustion this last week, and I do expect that the post will improve in the next time. But I really want you to think about this idea of moving from summary to analysis, and always of using the text, right, as much as you can to underscore your important points. So this week the reading is very light. It's really just a very brief lecture on Penelope and some poems that kind of give you a sense of the Odyssey's afterlife that I think you'll enjoy very much. But the more challenging work this week concerns your final research projects. And so I want to say a little bit more about that project here, to review that project with you in a large sense, and then to return to the specific requirements for this assignment. So let's talk about the large assignment first. And you'll find all of this material in more detail in the overview of assignments that's posted on the Moodle site. So this would probably be a good time now that we're entering week 7. That's almost the midpoint of the course, amazingly so. Right, but this is a good time to start really thinking and buckling down to do some work on the research project. So, okay, let's look at the title of that research project. First of all, the title is A Creative Research Multimodal Project. The subtext is, or the subtitle is, The Text World of Blank. So, what you're going to be doing, right, in this project is you're going to be exploring, and when I say exploring, I mean describing and also analyzing, reimagining and wondering about the world of one text we've read together in this class. And second, you're going to be reflecting on your own world as well as its proximity and its distance from the ancient or early modern world you've been wandering in. Where are you, right? And who are you? Where does your sense of self and your value system come from? Right? We may not realize just how ancient the roots of our own sense of self, and especially of our own values, are. But this project is going to help to connect us with our ancient selves, right? With hundreds and in some cases thousands of years, right? Thousands of years of human history. Your project is going to take the form of a multimodal essay. And when I say multimodal, I mean that it's an essay that is meant to be read on the web. Some of you may know the program WordPress, and you are welcome to use it. Most of you will be most familiar with PowerPoint, and that's probably how most of you will proceed. But you can use any program you want, right, so long as you can do various things with it, right, so long as you can really utilize the appurtenances of the web, right, the technology of the web. So what does the multimodal essay allow us to do? What does that format allow us to do? It allows us to integrate the affordances of print with the affordances of the web. One of the things that is great about print is that it allows us to circulate our thoughts to a much wider readership. One of the great things about the web is its ability to combine various modes of expression, right? To mix prose, right, how we write, right, with still images, with hyperlinks, with sound files, with videos. And I want you to be doing all of that, right? Obviously, you're going to begin with a text. You're going to begin with a text that is just like the text that you would write, or maybe not just like, but similar to a text that you would write for any research paper you were involved in. But then you're going to take that text, right, that you write, this research project, and you're going to make it come alive. And you're going to make it come alive by using the incredible technologies that are currently available to us. Okay. And what your real task is, right, what you should think of as your goal, your aim here, is to compose an essay, a digital essay, in which you could do something that you could not do in print alone. I'm making this project very specific in its requirements because I think that will help you, right? Because this is a kind of wide-ranging project in many ways. I wanted to kind of give you some limitations and some guidelines. So all of the projects are going to have 8 elements. The first element is a thoughtful thesis about the work and the world you are researching and recreating. What features of this work or of this world have you chosen to emphasize, and why? The second thing will be a thoughtful list of questions, questions about the human condition, the problem of identity, the relationship between self and other, the relationship between self and world, any major question, right, proposed by the work or the world that you're investigating. The third thing will be close readings of at least 3 significant passages pointing to key themes or questions in the work, where you talk about how these passages illuminate your thesis about the world you have chosen to investigate. That's analysis, right? So that's where you're really going to be thinking about language and image and ethics and everything else. Fourth, a close reading of one character in the work. How does that character embody the world in which he or she lives? And when I say embody the world, I mean embody the value systems of that world. Fifth, you're going to create a virtual art or archaeological museum for the world that you are working on. And to do that, you're going to select at least 5 cultural objects or 5 works of art contemporary to the world that you are working on to feature in your virtual museum. And you're going to offer an introduction explaining why you have selected them, as well as some meaningful commentary on each one of them. This section of your project must contain images, right, or at least links to images of the works that you select. Next, I think we're up to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth one is going to be a reflection on your encounter with the text. How has your experience of the text affected you? What thoughts, what memories, what emotions did the text elicit from you? And what do you imagine you will remember many years later, long after this class has ended, about this text, and why? This is a very speculative part of the assignment, but it's also a very important part, because one of the reasons, right, for reading anything, right, is because it makes us think. It makes us think about our world and ourselves and our lives and the lives of others, relationships to the lives of others. You're also going to include links or embedded files that encourage the reader to explore additional levels of the world or text you're presenting. Links to geographical and topographical maps, maybe, links to historical timelines, anything that will help you put that world and work in context. And finally, right, a bibliography of 4 to 7 critical sources that you used in the construction of the project. This project comprises 50% of your final grade. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. And that means that when you think about how many hours you're going to be spending on this project, I would say you're going to spend between 30 and 50. You can begin this project anytime, right? I hope that some of you have already started thinking about it, but you really need to get going on it now, as we're just moving into about the halfway point of the semester. What am I looking for in these essays? There is a rubric included here, but let me just say very clearly now some of the things I'm looking for, all of the things I'm looking for. First and foremost, your ability to read critically and creatively. Second, your commitment to deep and responsible research. Third, your willingness to grapple with key questions about the human condition and to pose those questions for yourself in your own time. Fourth, your ability to use the available technologies of writing and presentation to communicate your vision of the text world effectively and elegantly. And fifth, finally, your completion of all 8 elements of the project specified above. When you think about this project, right, think about it very much as something that is in some ways cohesive, right, but it's going to be made cohesive by these parts, right? So you can work on a particular part and then work on another part and then think about how they go together. All right, it's a lot to do, and I'm telling you this now because I want you to plan your time very, very well. The worst thing that can happen is that you wait, you don't do this, you don't work on it, and then it's the second to last week of the semester, and you're trying to put together these eight elements in your research project. It won't work. So start now. And if you start now, right, it also gives you a lot more time, a lot more opportunity to talk to me about what you're doing, to review some of your work, and to get help and input from me and from other people, research librarians, anyone who you can think of who may be helpful. Now this week, the assignment is a little bit narrower. What you're doing is telling me the direction of your thinking. You're going to tell me what work you have decided, you've chosen to focus on, and you're going to try to articulate at least 3 questions about that work that you'll be exploring, 3 themes, 3 questions. You can think about it in different ways, and also a list of 3 to 5 scholarly sources you plan to consult. If you're having trouble finding scholarly sources, or this is something that is very, very new to you, I want you to say that. I want you to tell me that. Right? Tell me where you've looked, how you've looked, and that you're having trouble. I will respond to you, and I will respond as quickly as I can, certainly within 24 hours of getting your questions. So beginning tomorrow, I will be looking at those, at the boards, watching them, and I will be looking for your questions. So don't feel like what you post has to necessarily be the final thing that you're going to submit. Right? Send me a question, and we'll continue a thread, right? And we'll work things out together. All right, I know it's a lot to take on, but the sooner you begin, I think the more confident you'll feel about these projects. I look forward to your questions, and I look forward to helping you through the research process. A very wonderfully creative process, I might say. Take care, and we'll be talking soon.